17% of the LA County electorate are Republicans. And all 17% will vote against George Gascon, I'm almost certain. If you count for the independents who tend to be more Republican in their thoughts and their ideas and their voting, you get to about 29%, right? So if you take independents and all Republicans, you still don't have enough to beat George Gascon. Fortunately for us, there's a large number of Democrats who are ready to replace George Gascon. I think 70% of the electorate in total is ready to move off of Gascon. But 40% are going to wait and see who's running against him before they decide to move off of him. So he's wounded, but he's not out of it. That's why it's important for us to think about this election like a game of chess and not checkers. You are thinking about who will beat him in November. Who in this race, of these other 9 people, who am I very confident will beat him? When voters from South LA and East LA in the Valley, high income, low income people go to the polls and they see George Gascon and that other name, who will they say, yes, I want, not just I don't want Gascon, I want this person. And I'm here to tell you humbly that that person is me. I'll tell you why. I started to say I was going to tell you a little bit about my background. This all comes together right here. I was born in northern New Jersey. My mom died when I was 2 years old. My father died when I was in kindergarten. I was raised by my sister, who raised me with 5 other children by herself. Low income, high crime, crack cocaine era. You know the story. You know what America was like in our big cities at that time. You know how difficult it must have been for this single black female to raise this big family by herself. She worked 6 days a week through sickness and in health to do it. I was one of those children. I had the benefit of having a parent like my sister. I learned a lot from her. I got through that. I worked my way through college, worked full-time days, went to school at night, summers, weekends, finished in 4 years, which I hear is hard to do nowadays, even for kids who are going, to school older. From there, I got an incredible opportunity to come out here and attend law school at the UCLA School of Law, one of the best law schools in the world, bar none, always at least one rank higher than USC. I'm sorry. It's true. Hey, if we're 14, USC is 15. Always check it out. Go back, get on the internet, check it out. No, USC is free. And they vote more than the UCLA graduates. What is it? I know. All right. That's really, the American dream. I am living the American dream. I am what's possible in this country that's not possible in a lot of other countries. And I say that knowing I lost my parents, at a young age. Life did deal me a tough hand, but I played it. And I played it well, and everybody across this country, no matter what income bracket you're in, no matter your race, your ethnicity, or your religion, everybody respects that. Everybody likes that. Everybody knows that in that story is a person of character, of resilience, of perseverance, of leadership, of hopefulness, idealism. Because you don't go from where I started to where I am, and I'm not at the top of the hill, I'm a government worker. But it's a long journey, nonetheless, and it's mostly uphill. People know that. Then look at what I've done after UCLA. I'm a young African-American male with a law degree from one of the top law schools in the country. There are a lot of big companies and a lot of big firms out there who would love to have somebody like me to say, look, we got an African-American lawyer in our your real estate department, right? I didn't take the money. I went to work for $40,000 a year at the time for the district attorney's office because I wanted to give something back to the community that gave me such an incredible opportunity. Now, I'll be honest with you, I didn't intend to stay for 25 years. I was going to do about 5 years. I was going to learn how to be a lawyer and then move on. But right away, I felt the importance of the work that I was doing, even as a young attorney. And I tell you, the hugs that I have gotten from the surviving family members of some of the victims whose cases I've prosecuted have been the warmest embraces I've ever had in my life and have meant more than any amount of money that shows up in my bank account. That's why I stayed, and that's why I'm still here, and that's why I'm fighting. 25 years of prosecuting violent crime at the highest levels of our office, 10 years in the Major Crimes Division. No other candidate in this race has spent 1 hour in the Major Crimes Division. 6 years in the Hardcore Gang Division before that, prosecuting gang-related murders. And one day, a person had the nerve to come up to me and say, as a black man, how can you prosecute these cases? And I thought, what an ignorant statement, right? Like, do you know who the victims are in these murder cases? I mean, as a black man, let me just ask you, because you're not a black man, but do you know who the victims are in these cases? Do you know the people who are suffering the most from crime? They're African American, they're Latino, they're usually lower income. They have mental illness problems. A lot of them are living on the street. Those are the people that I'm fighting for. But victims have become invisible in our society. It's really strange because back in the 90s when I started, it was all about victims' rights. And somehow a generation later, we've lost sight of them. They have disappeared. And now it's all about the defendants. It's almost as if the defendants are the victims of society. That's what a lot of the philosophy of a lot of our leaders, not just this district attorney, but a lot of our people in government, is that somehow we're the bad guys because we're allowing other people to fall through the cracks. Yeah, we're paying a lot of taxes and we're donating a lot of our time and money to organizations to help people who are not getting the help that they need. We would hope they would. And we all have big hearts for people. But when people set about doing harm or doing crime, then they put themselves in another category where they need to be held accountable. And in my view, holding people accountable primarily means two things. The appropriate amount of punishment to go along with the appropriate kind of rehabilitation that they're open to. Because in the end, that's how you get redemption. The appropriate amount of punishment and rehabilitation. You can't have a system that just says, we're just going to rehabilitate people. Like a punishment is not ever appropriate. It is. For people who commit crimes, you can't just have a system that is focused on making the criminal a better person without regard for what that person now owes society or owes a particular victim. That used to be a feature of our criminal justice system that has seemingly gone away in the last few years. But I'm a little bit old school. And as district attorney, my brand of justice is called proportional justice. And it's kind of based on, if you're old enough, the old television show, Beretta, that had one of the greatest theme songs in television. Don't do the crime if you can't what? Do the time, baby. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. But when you have a district attorney who has a philosophy that there is no time, then what's to stop you from doing the crime? Right? I grew up during the 80s where a lot of my friends ran off to the street corners to hustle dope. And these were good kids. They were no different from me. They saw an opportunity to make money. And so they took it. They weren't bad people. They weren't evil people. They didn't want to see people strung out on dope, but they wanted their money. And they saw an opportunity. You think about a lot of the people that you see today running into these stores and grabbing these bags, they weren't doing that 4 or 5 years ago. They started doing that when we had a DA who came to town and got rid of accountability for that kind of behavior. So now they just see opportunities. Somebody said to me, how would you stop the smash and grabs? I said, look, there are a lot of things that we can't prosecute ourselves out of. We gotta be more creative. Robbery is one that we can actually prosecute ourselves way out of, because when they start seeing their friends go to prison, they will stop running into stores grabbing handbags. I guarantee you. So that's a little bit about me, a little bit about my past, how I got here, why I'm running. 25 years of experience puts me in almost a class of my own in this race. There's one other person who has a little bit more time in the office than I do, but she doesn't have the experience that I have. She's been out of the courtroom for the last 15 years. She's a nice person with a nice resume, but she's been out of the fight for 15 years. I've been in the fight for all 25 years. And then you're talking about a bunch of other people who never worked for the office, but they worked for the office back when Clinton was president. It's a whole different office now. Okay, that's why when you go forward, and I really hope you do go forward and say, I met this guy, John McKinney, I think he's the one. He's the one because one, he's the last person Gaston wants to see on the ballot. He's gonna attack everybody else as being Republican or was a Republican. He's gonna say, you know, these people just wanna take us back to the days of mass incarceration. These people don't care about minorities. He's gonna use that on whoever gets through. It's not gonna work on me. Because people are gonna say, well, wait a minute, this guy that, lost his parents, raised by his sister, worked his way through college, DA for 25 years, prosecuted 40 murder cases, won them all? What? Why shouldn't I vote for him? Where's the weakness? Where's the weakness? He's not going to have a string to pull. And I guarantee you, I start to see Gaston a lot now, because we go to the same political events. And every time I see him, he has that kind of sheepish grin on his face. Kind of like, yeah, I don't want to see you. He doesn't want to see me come through this. There are other people that I think Gaston might even be donating to, because he wants to see them. And then there are some people who, maybe they'll win, maybe they won't. Ladies and gentlemen, if I get on that ballot after March 5th, I am a sure thing to beat Gaston, to beat Soros, to beat this whole crazy wave of illogical policy making and lawmaking in California. And I'm gonna be the kind of leader that collaborates with people, not just go around attacking everybody. I usually don't spend a whole lot of time even talking about Gaston at this point. He has his record, he'll run on it, and I think most people are not happy with what he's done. But I need the energy, I need the support, I need the word of mouth. People have to know who John McKinney is. I spent 25 years doing some amazing things, but I haven't been self-promoting. I haven't been running out there calling me, hey, I'm doing a trial today, you guys should come. I haven't been doing that. Some people in this race have done that. I had really no intention of running for office until George Gaston came to town, and I realized that the leadership that I've developed over 25 years was needed. And so here I am. If you want me, you got me. I want to run for you. I want to run for me and the things that I believe in. So thank you so much for coming out. If you're wondering how can we help you, John, there are a variety of ways. Some more expensive than others. Obviously, elections are a lot about name recognition. Unlike you, who are going to go, sit down with your ballot and know something about the candidates, most of your neighbors, friends, and colleagues will not know much about the candidates. And to the extent that they'll call and say, hey, you know anything about the DA's race, who are you supporting? I need you to say John McKinney. No brainer, vote for John McKinney. That's one way you can help. Another way you can help me is to help people know who I am. And the way we do that is we have to pay for name recognition. One of the candidates in this race has a father with a famous name. His father is a constitutional scholar, has been, well known in LA for a generation. And so when people hear his name, they think of his father. And that's sometimes all it takes. When people see the name, oh, I've heard of this guy, and they'll vote. They don't know they're voting for a different person. I have to purchase name recognition, which means I've got to get on to digital spaces. I've got to send out mail. I've got to have yard signs. I mean, that's how it's done. It's really kind of old-fashioned retail politics. That's where I can use your financial support. I can use your financial support, and then if you can tap your friends and say, hey, this guy's worth donating a little money to, I need that as well. If you want to host an event, doesn't have to be large, doesn't have to be complicated. Some friends who might want to come over and hear from me directly, ask some questions, I will do that. If you want, you can reach out to my team and they'll organize it. So those are the kinds of ways you can help me. Also, if you're on social media, follow me, John McKinney _ on Instagram and Twitter. I'm on Facebook. If you follow me, if you like my posts or comment, the algorithm will share it with more people. I'll get more followers and help spread the message. So those are some of the big ways you can help me. I can save Jason 5 minutes from coming up here and telling you the same thing. And I think we're done at this point. I'm here. I'm going to have another slice of pizza at least. And are we going to do questions?
Yeah, why don't we take a couple of questions, and then John will have a chance to mingle with you, and you can ask more questions directly.
I got one question for you. You know what it is, right?
We have a lot of questions.
Now, John and I worked together before, and he told you he was in the major crime division. Okay. I was in the major crime division right before him, and John replaced me and was doing a great job. He did Nipsey Hussle cases and other things. He's an outstanding trial lawyer.